welcome to McBoss Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu. This is US stock market recap video for the week ending August 14, 2026. We see that the Nasdaq Composite weekly chart here, and we are on the third week up, even though it's only up 0.1%, but the chart looks pretty good because after 2 weeks of nice bounce, we are coming closer to the previous high here on Nasdaq, which is a very encouraging sign. Again, this bounce is very strong. It took many weeks to take it down, but it only took a few weeks now to get it back up near the highs. On the daily chart, you can see the very strong 4-day move here, bounce. And then since that time, we've been making higher lows as well. We're making higher highs. And then we also riding above the 10-day comfortably, right? So the green line here, we're sitting above it very comfortably as we never even come close to touching it. So it really underscores the strength behind the index right now. Here you can see better how far it is from the previous high 27,190. We're right now standing at 26,79, 729. Here's S&P 500. This one also been moving up strong. Now we are on the third week up. Also up only 0.3% for the week, but that's pretty good after 2 strong weeks here, bounce and just holding most of those gains, and that is very good positive sign there. On the daily chart, you see the 4-day bounce here as well, making new high. So definitely looks stronger than Nasdaq at this moment. Also higher lows, higher highs, sitting comfortably above the 10-day. Here's Dow Jones Industrial on the weekly chart. So we had 2 weeks of bounce, making new high, looking very strong. But then we kind of give back this week just a little bit, 0.5%. So that is a little bit of negative there. On the daily chart, you also see the 4-day bounce here. But since that 4-day bounce, we weren't able not only not make new high, but we weren't able to bounce back. And you can see it sliding, like even though it's slowly towards the 10-day. The problem is just that, on the positive days in the market in general, like S&P and Nasdaq, this one actually didn't bounce back at all. So that is a little bit worrisome on the Dow Jones right now. We are sitting still above the 10-day, but there's a high chance this could break this when we start get some negative, days or something like that. So yeah, we'll have to watch out for this one. Here's Russell 2000 index here, bouncing very strong on the weekly chart as well. This is the third week up, making new high this week, and also up the most here, 1.1% for the week. On the daily chart, it didn't have that 4-day bounce like the other index did. It had only 2 days. But since that, it pulled back slightly. Again, you see the green line here, the 10-day moving average. It never touches it. And then it kind of went sideways, just like the other index did. And then now, it's slowly moving higher this week, throughout the week. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we're making new highs. So even though it looked very subtle, but the movement is very positive because of how tight it's trading for one, and two, it just continued to make new high each day in the last 3 days. So again, sitting very comfortably above the green line. So this one, the relative strength has turned up a little bit here this week. So that is a welcoming sign for this index. We'll look at the equal weight here, QQEW for the Nasdaq 100. This one also making new high. Friday it did give back a little bit, but that's a tiny loss compared to Thursday's gain. And you can see this new high here breaking out. So that's a good sign for Nasdaq as more stocks are participating in this rally right now. The same here goes for the equal weight S&P 500. RSP is the ETF. And here you go up every day for the week, which is very, very positive, making new highs, very smooth movement here above the 10-day. As you can see, it didn't touch it at all this whole week and even last week, most of the days here. So looking very sharp right now. Here's the Nasdaq, or actually S&P here, 500. We have the line here at the top for the index, and then at the bottom here we have the NYSE advanced decline daily line, and you can see this one is making new high on the advanced decline line very nicely. On Friday it was have 1135 stocks up versus 1057 down. So this is really good because Friday the index was down here slightly, but the number of stocks up is still higher. So again, very strong broader strength for the marketplace. Nasdaq here, we've been kind of trading more sideways movement, but on the index here after the initial 4-day run, but looking at the advanced decline line, you can see it is coming up at a much stronger angle, and so it did, have more stocks down on Friday, 2050 up versus 2229 down, but overall it still looked really good in the last week here. In terms of news for the week, we have the consumer inflation data here. The CPI for July was in line with expectations. The overall CPI rose 0.1% after June's 0.4% down. And then core CPI will climb 0.2% after a flat June. So both were higher, but they were in line with expectations. And for the core CPI inflation, it is now at 2.5%, lower than before, and it is at a 5-year low right now. So that is a very welcoming sign. And the Fed rate hike now has fallen in terms of the odds. This is coming from the Investors Business Daily newspaper here. Here's the CBOE 10-year Treasury yield. We can see it bounce out on Monday. Then it starts sliding Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right, to the bottom of this range here. And then it bounced really hard on Friday here. Now it closed at 4.69%. So we'll see if this will continue higher, which may not be good for the market. Here's the US dollar index here. This week it tried to bounce back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but by Thursday it started to sliding down again. It found resistance at the short-term 10 days, so overall this is in a downtrend. On Friday it gapped down and closed near the low of recent range here. The oil price this week was able to bounce back on Monday very strong, and then obviously this amid those news related to the US-Iran still having issues with their peace deal, and then by Wednesday and Thursday it slide back down to the 10-day, and then on Friday it bounced back 1.2%, and right now it's still hovering above the 10-day and 21-day line here. And the refineries are looking very strong. We'll cover that in the next video on my growth stocks list. Here's the gold. Gold holding tight this week after a nice bounce last week. But yeah, overall it still look really good. It's hovering above the 10-day nicely here. Haven't come down to it. Yeah, this is looking really good. It may, try to challenge to move up above the black line here, which is the 200-day moving average soon. Silver is also holding tight this week, not giving back too much of the previous week's gain. Copper is sliding back. It's actually, it fell from the previous week, and then this week it's just holding tight on the 10-day. It hasn't broken it, but it is living dangerously around that short-term moving average right now. Here we'll look at the Bitcoin. Again, we're just having no luck whatsoever against that red line there, which is the 50-day moving average, and it came close to it again, and it just couldn't surpass it like easily. It's just hovering around that line right now, and sliding slowly down. It is trading very tight, at the $48 area. For next week, not much economic news. We just have the Federal Reserve release minutes here from the July meeting, and then we have more earnings this time, mostly from the retail area like Walmart, Target, right? We had TJX and Ross here. We have Home Depot and Lowe's here as well. So in terms of IBD signal, we went from market correction from 0 to 20% allocation, moving up nicely the previous week, 20, 40, 40, 60, 60, 80% allocation. And then this week we climbed to 80 to 100 allocation on Thursday. So very strong move by the market in recent 2 weeks here. Very welcoming sign. Earlier in the week, we have more distribution than accumulation on the stocks, the number of stocks here. But by the end of the week, we came back up after Thursday here. So we have more accumulation now. And then on the sector side, we're seeing by Friday, we still see commodities energy area at the highest in terms of net accumulation minus distribution. Then we have technology, slightly higher, second place. Third place is health. And then we have a little advantage here on financial and industrials. and then we have retail down the whole week. So again, the retail earnings will be important in the coming week. So this is the WenX Semiconductor ETF, symbol SMH. For the week, it up only 0.8% after last week's strong gain. So not, I mean, in general, it is not bad, all right? But we're still below, like hovering around that red line. We just haven't been able to pass through it, which is the 10-week moving average. On the daily chart, you can see that, which is the 50-day on the red line here. Again, you can see it kind of, reverse a little bit, but not that negative, right? If you see a huge downside reversal, that would be bad from the 50-day, but it's a small reversal, only down 0.2% on Friday. So maybe in the coming week we can have gained some strength somehow and pass through this red line. So that's what I think will be very important going forward. Here's Nvidia also doing really well. You can see it pulled back on Monday, Tuesday towards the green line here, but it quickly bounced back on Wednesday, and then Thursday also making new recent high here. Friday it only give back very little, just almost 0%. So that is very good sign, very healthy base right now. Building the right side of the base. Yeah, again, the last 2 weeks has been very strong for the market, and this chip stock, Nvidia, the largest chip stock right now, is doing pretty good. The TSM here also coming back above all the short-term moving average, the red line here on Wednesday, Thursday as well, but it did reverse on Friday down 0.96. Again, not a big drop, right? Hovering around the red line right now. It's still way above the 10-day here. So still look pretty positive in general. And again, we're starting to build the right side of the base. This is just slightly above the high, like near the halfway mark of this base. So the high is up here. So it's still far from the high, but at least we have made progress in 2 weeks and come back towards the middle of this base. AMD also bouncing back nicely here towards the red line, and on Friday it made a very good gain, 6.5%, and just closed slightly above that 50 days. So it looks very positive. Yeah. So again, this red line right now is almost near the middle mark of this base here. So that is very positive. Again, we just need to get a very decisive follow through above that level, and that might be then we are getting closer to the previous high. Next, we have ARM. ARM has corrected a lot. It's still down 38% from the high. So the base obviously doesn't look well formed yet. It is hovering around the short-term 10-21-day moving average, still way below the red line, the 50-day. So this one still requires more work to improve the conditions here for the technical chart. Next, we have Broadcom, symbol AVGO. This one was doing okay, hovering above the 10-day until Friday. And we have some negative news here in terms of their future financing. And it dropped significantly down almost 6% to the red line here, which is the 50-day. So there's new concerns about the scale and risk of AI financing structure, and also some short-term profit taking and margin worries. So the news was from Bank of America, estimating that their balance sheet on the AI chip financing could reach 370 billion by 2029, with 150 billion of new issuance in 2027. So again, this is increasing fears that Broadcom is taking on significant risks to their future AI growth, and this prompts the sell-off on Friday. Here's Intel, also been bouncing up slowly here and closer to the red line. It did give back on Friday 2%, but it's still above the 10-day and 21-day. So maybe it can try to pass the red line soon. So here's the IGV, the iShares software sector ETF here. This one been bouncing now for the third week in a row, up 1.3% this week. It did close at the bottom of the range, so a little bit volatile this week, but overall the weekly chart still looks very healthy as we come closer to the previous recent high here on this huge cup with handle pattern. So it will be good to get through that level. On the daily chart here, you can see clearly this week again, bouncing very strong recently. So it came up on Monday, fall back Tuesday and Wednesday, but look at how far it's still above the 10-day. And then on Thursday, we make another new recent high, before coming down Friday 2%. But again, we're still above the 10-day very comfortably. As long as that holds, we are aiming for the new high here coming up here. So that looks pretty good. So software is actually looking a lot better than chips at this moment because we are approaching to possible new recent high here on this base here. We're trying to break out. So Palantir did really well recently after the earnings, right? It did fall back after the earnings, but it was still way above the 10-day as the 10-day trying to catch up. And then right there, last Friday we bounced really strong, breaking out. And then this week we continue higher, and we did come down on Wednesday and Tuesday, but it is still way above the 10-day. And then right away Thursday we bounce again. So it's very healthy to see stocks pulling back, not too strong, and then bouncing back right away to make new highs. So that is the momentum we're seeing. So this is very good progress. It did come down 2.7% on Friday, but again, we're still way above the 10-day. So as long as it pull back, small and bounce really strong, we will continue to see a nice strong uptrend. Here's Microsoft after making new highs recently. It did start to slide back, even though like this week the bounce, I mean, it's not very strong, but I mean you have to take into account that it didn't fall hard as well. It's still holding Wednesday's low here. It's still sitting comfortably above the green line. So again, Palantir and Microsoft are the two that has done really well since the earnings. So if the rally continues, I will assume these two will continue to lead the software group. So Amazon was one that did well on earnings, but since then it has slid down really fast. So much different than Microsoft here. The fall is much harder. You can see from the daily chart action, and even this whole week it just keeps sliding down. I'm not sure if there's any news this week, but this negative sell-off is quite challenging because it fell below the 10-day and just not enough of even bounce whatsoever. So it's very negative at this moment. It looks like it's aiming for the pink line right now, which is the 21-day. Here's Google, also not doing well. Sliding below all the moving averages, sitting below it. It also found resistance on Friday here, just slightly. Meta also not doing well, just been really not done much since this fall off, and then also from the earnings as well. It did climb back after that, but again, just not doing much, just kind of in the downtrend still, sitting near the moving averages. Apple here continue to just forming this L-shaped pattern, which is very bearish, right? The L shape is where it drops significantly, usually a big gap down like this, and then it kind of just went sideways, right? It tried to come up, you see here, found resistance at the 10-day, and then it just fall back down and near the bottom of the range and just going sideways, L-shaped pattern. So, meaning on positive days, it just couldn't even come up. And then eventually there might be some negative news and this could make another L pattern, like another big drop here. So that is very negative right now. Here's SpaceX, Space Exploration Technology Corp. This new IPO recently bounced back pretty strong here. In a very short time span, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, it moved up significantly from the lows there. And then Thursday, Friday, we start to slide back down. But Friday it didn't close at the bottom, so that's good. We're still above the 10-day and 21 days. So overall, this is still in an uptrend right now. So looks pretty good. So maybe it has potential to come back up. Tesla also have been bouncing since the lows here, slowly. But yeah, looking pretty good, it tried to go for the 350 level here, but it got rejected, came back down on Friday. It is still above 10-21 days, so we'll see if this can, build the momentum to go back up to the red line here. Here's Netflix. Netflix doing something very interesting because for the longest time it was trading under the pink line here, which is the 21-day moving average. So last resistance was right here, and then recently it doesn't look very good, and then all of a sudden we found support, and the 10-day has started to come up. The 21-day is also now coming up. Right, and then not only that, and then recently here, like this week, we challenged the 50-day, and very quickly, even though first time it fell here, but the second time here on Thursday, look at that move, gap up above the 50-day. That is very significant move. We are now above the red line, and then you see the Friday, it was only giving back 0.1%. after a significant gain on Thursday, which was up over 5%. So that just show no one wants to sell even on a down day. That is very remarkable. Like I think this is a very change of momentum here from this big downtrend. Yeah, I'm very happy about this move right now. So pay attention to Netflix. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. My next video will be coming out on my growth stocks list to see who's slowly becoming the new leader there. Thank you for watching.